Hello and good evening. Welcome. The 3rd of July 2022. 6,000 scribe celebration and community update is what you have before you tonight. I have Brother Kevin with me. Good evening. Who's seems to be on mute. Right there, Kevin. I'll ask you to unmute. There we go.
What's all that about? It must have muted me when it asked me if this is going to be recorded or whatever it said is live. So anyway, hello everybody. Hope you're all right. Hope everybody's well, enjoying life. You know it is. Brilliant time we're all having. All good here, thanks. So yeah, it's good to see everybody. Welcome.
I am just sharing it to the usual places, and then I shall be with.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just opening up Tubby so I can see the chat room.
Okay, my good man.
I
will be done in but a moment.
Yeah, I should have a notification here saying Indiglo's live.
Yes, you should. They don't always come through. I'll leave it there.
Let's have a look. Oh, you're not. Oh, where are you? Way down the list. Can't believe it. Let's have a look.
Stephen's in.
You should be near the top.
In. I see Stephen and Barnsey.
Stefano. Indiglo, there he is. Barnsey, Steve, how you doing? Evening. I'll see the chat room in a minute. Allegedly 6,000 scribes. That would be one. Come on, bloody steam-powered tablet.
I was going to call tonight's show organised crime. We're going to touch upon a few areas of is going to be of topical interest for many of us. So yeah, we're going to say thanks for the hard work so far, which we've done, and then we're going to go into the realms of and talk what's happening this August at Rickmansworth. We'll discuss that as well, and the content there, various aspects of estate management before one would be considered in the private officially, formally, legally and lawfully. The ecclesia side of it encompassed with the canons, the canonisation of the Bible. I've found myself in the Tibetan canons more recently, so there are various canons, languages, we've come to learn of, etymological references. We're going to have some fun with it, but there we would say, certain steps it would be beneficial to take and protect yourself before going into battle. So instruments executed as a deed, and addressing the most frequently asked questions. As I've got to 6,000 scribes on this channel, we're going to tailor the content. I'm going to tailor the content for the different levels of supporters and for the public. So of late, I've had to watch my health for seriousness, and yeah, I've been a bit laid back, and I've had a lot of time to contemplate and speak with the admins, Kevin, read some philosophical material, and yeah, further meditate. So yeah, and it's been very good. The synchronicity is strong, even though times are uncertain and times are unprecedented in many respects. The state and the various states, his and us, are in a fine old state. So yeah, we're gonna touch upon the content for reasons of, and deeds and instruments, and what one would be sensible to consider executing, and trust to express, and just protecting yourself times now with the economy, with finance, with interest, with the interaction ever more so of debt collection agents, title rights to property. So we need to look at community support. We said, I said, this channel has always said, we're interested in supporting families in civil areas for legal claims, of which the establishments, the states, the financial states, the legislative states, the educational, the religious states have all got their hierarchy within our existence in this realm. So we always said that the main priority would be for the young bloods, families, security. So that's what we're still going to focus on, with the attention being on effective estate management, and looking at what is logical to consider doing. All the things that we found over the last 5 years especially, and then the three most frequently asked questions that we've had over the years, we've accumulated them and discussed what it is people want to do. Discharge charges is the big one, and your estate management, and how to present, protect and retain rights, title rights, and use the common law of England, but the common law as we found it to be, with the inclusion of the merger of, as per the Judicature Act of the late 1800s, 1870s, the merger of equity and trust within common laws, and the effectiveness of that. We have learned to try to incorporate this worldwide with regards to courts of equity around the world. Halsbury's being quoted in such places as India, and the effectiveness of international trust recognition, not just from Pope Boniface 1302, Unum Sanctum, the first known recorded testamentary trust expressed, and the subsequent trust thereafter from the papacy, from Francis Assisi, through the subjective monarchs at the time, through the subjective banking families, through the Illuminatus, through the Trilateral Commission, through the Council for Foreign Relations, through the Bilderberg Commission, through the Rockefeller, through the Rothschild, through the, you see what when we get called conspiracy theorists, it's all right in the beginning until you learn how to back up these have to hold to your integrity, and to be able to articulate things in such a fashion that we initially started out on a journey to find out if there was a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and upon that journey we subsequently put lots of skin in the game, and have found out some harrowing, startling home truths about these what would we call them, oligarchs and exalted ones in such institutions and offices, and how things really run. So to close down, we refer to the rules of the London Templars Law Society, and we look at the 10 commercial maxims of law, which have been extremely helpful in all of this, and use that as the backbone to articulate the failure to follow the civil practice rules and regulations, the practice directions and the civil procedure rules, and holding them to account using their own rules and regulations, and the 10 commercial maxims of the secular codified law, and their biblical precepts are key and integral, much like an unrebutted affidavit standing as truth. Somebody rustling somewhere, sounds like you. So much like an unrebutted affidavit standing as truth, and the truth that law being sovereign, we also look at the various aspects of assumptions and presumptions, and how this element of legal organised crime works within the levels of hierarchy of which I've mentioned just before. And those that don't retain and reserve their rights, don't know that they have any rights, are seen to have no rights. So there's a lot of good reasons why we need to get the pertinent basics out to you again, and look at how to protect the young bloods, how to conduct business, how to do business, to recognise jurisdictions, and to go through the areas of common law, and to show you, if you haven't already had the reformulation of common law presented to you, with the inclusion of equity and trust and the principles of that application to ministers in government that are governed with these propositions of equity and trust, and the ministerial code and other such regulatory areas of compulsory performance is mandatory, and failure to perform and to disclaim one's duties will render the offices and officers trustees for primarily, once you've looked at the correction of these misconstrued relationships. So we have a system set up before us that gives us everything, but only if we know of it and only if we claim it. If you don't know of it and you don't claim it, then you've got nothing. That's the basic stand-up, and it needs to be evidence we've given to you over the years in the evidencing of the 10 commercial maxims of corporate law, and the biblical precepts, and the inclusion of the authorised 1611 King James. We've come a long way since John Harris, common law, practical lawful descent, Magna Carta, and we've got a lot of skin in the game, and we've got a high amount of integrity. So we're going to go through the basics and most frequently asked questions, and we're going to look at protecting the family, and we're going to tailor make content on this channel, and it's going to reignite now. All things are getting back to normal, and we're very much looking forward to the seminar on the 20th of August. If you want details on that, you will look to the video description anytime from the 4th of July onwards when I've put it on after this has been cast and shown, and you will find how to register your interest, express your interest. There'll be no registration here in that, and we would like to have you along. So I'd like to say hello to Kevin and Anders, I believe, and have you got anything you'd like to bounce off from that?
Hello everybody, I hope you're okay. You too, Kevin.
Hi Anders, mate, good to see you. Hope everything's all right.
Yeah, it is. I was just out chasing the fox. He'd been stealing 2 chickens and 1 rooster for me now this evening.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's proper life, that, isn't it? Been out protecting your livestock.
Your livestock,
cattle,
yeah.
The fox roosters and chickens, foxes. How are you, Anders?
I'm fine. I'm fine, actually. I've been, yesterday, I was at an eco shop, ecological shop, and they make it as a club. So they have their own money system and everything. It's really cool, you know, and meeting all these people that builds up these small community shops. So, no, I like
Nice
it.
one. Sounds interesting, mate. Need more of that going on around the place. I think Mr. Webster was in, I see back there. Good evening. Nice of you to visit. Welcome.
Yes, we're welcome. We never did link up and make that connection, but we will do. It still is on the cards. That is something that would be very much beneficial to all, and you're welcome to come to the, as is everybody, all the scribes, our meeting. It's down in Rickmansworth in August, and we'll look at doing that. We'll get on that, Kevin. Kevin and I have both had somewhat of a different year this year, and I'm sure all of you in some respects, but it's been rather unique, and there's been a lot go off. There's a lot to consider, and there is even more going off right now, you know, with all said and done, and all of the notices and declarations, proclamations and stamps and pens and bonded, gilded, you know, instruments, documents, deeds and trusts that we do. We've still got narcissistic psychopaths in charge of corporate countries, nation states, whatever you want to refer to them as, that could just extinguish humanity within a few minutes, and it just it doesn't get removed. It's not far from the forefront of the mind, the various levels of threats that we, when we talk of defence and estate management. And yes, we need to do that. Yes, you need to go on your own journey and have your own watchman at the gate and go through some kind of mental defence with regards to how you exit Wonderland and come into the Matrix, unplug from the pod and come into the real realm. It's your own mental journey that needs to be had as well, and you defending yourself and putting the watchman at the gate. And we need to look at community involvement as well, and what we can do with me finding out that to hire a plumber, he quoted £62.50 for half an hour. I was like, what, £62.50 for half an hour? I said it laughing, and he was like, yeah, that's right. I'm like, so an hour is 100, and he's like, oh yeah, and then you got your VAT, then you've got, I'm like, oh wow, okay, yes, I just need a stopcock replacing, and looking at paying £250 for, and I just, a little voice went in my head, now if you had your Jack Fresco Venus project, it's community type, setup going, then you'd all be sharing and helping and lending and, even doing it for a half price, if need be, till we get to the...
Mate, I could nip up and do that for you for a lot less.
The prime example of the times that we're living in, dog eat dog world. It could be so much the other way. It could be so harmonious, and we could like money. If you ask people in this day and age, where does money come from? And we went out and asked 100 sovereigns that question. 90% would come back and say the government, but that's not the correct answer, as many of you well know, that it comes from the reserves of private banking families that create it out of nothing. So the currency that we use, the fiat currency, it's not money, but to keep it simple and relevant, we know it as money, but the currency, which is fiat currency, which are promissory notes printed by the private banking cartels and reserves of the Bank of England and the federal banking of reserves, and some of those banking families, again, Warburgs, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and such names as, they create it out of thin air and then they sell it to government, and they expressly ask for interest of which doesn't exist and hasn't been printed yet to be paid back on that loan into perpetual debt. And so the government could print their own money and we could regulate it and control it and have the inflation and management, but they are deceiving us. When we talk of organised crime and deception and reasons not to have trust in these establishments and various, even since the Pentagon getting the wall blown out, and the part of the Pentagon that got blown up was the part that was investigating the missing $2 to $5 trillion just by coincidence. Oh, and there was no plane there, but the national story was, oh well, this is what's happened. And unfortunately, much like what we're talking about here and where we're going, the banking families, the answer that was given, the government create the money by that 90 out of 100 sovereigns, is because they intuitively know that the government should make money and control it and regulate it and distribute it and manage all of the interests and certain things, So this is why we have to do self-management, self-governance, self-good governance, and that's all it simply is. We've got some updates for you coming in the form of the continuation of the equity and trust videos, and with the concise, what would we call it, and referencing to instruments and deeds and documents and how you would express a private trust in the form of a last will and testament, assigned powers of attorney, an ecclesiastical deed poll, and certain other movements that you could make for estate management. Don't forget that there is the assumptions and presumptions again, and if you don't correct and assert and look at the various Latin maxims, references, citations, Lord's references and quotes such as Coke, Halsbury's, there's too many Lords to mention, but there are ways that you can validate everything that we're saying, and it just seems quite shocking when you find out that there is everything there for the taking, but you won't get it unless you defend and ask for it. So it's a simple, logical point to reach where we say, okay, then how would we exist in 2022 safely and privately and ready to step forward and make yourself known to high levels of government and require what, being paid for being an unknown employee of the corporation known as the government of the United Kingdom, the government of the United States of America, wherever it is, Western wise, internationally to some, Canada and other such territories, Australia. There's more. We could look at getting our equitable relief and remedy, but you wouldn't want to go into a battle and make yourself known and poke the king until you've got your subsequent shields of armour on, which loop us back round to what I said at the beginning, which is why you'd want to look at protecting and retaining and correcting misconstrued relationships and being able to competently stand upon the decisions and what you've done, using the private remedy aspects of common law through equity and trust. And the assumptions and presumptions that are there would be able to be corrected. So then in private sense, with regards to family, children, property, houses, possessions, cars, assets, being protected and locked off, then you would look at the relationships with the state and the side of it that we've come to know of with the judiciary, the judicial state, and how they seem to have, operate under such things as the doctrine of parens patri, via the extension of the Vatican, via these commercial mercantile laws of the merchant traders from way back when in day dot. So you would correct those implied misconstrued relationships as well, and I think that's a good place to start. Kevin and Anders, would you like to and I'll look at the chat room.
Sorry, mate, I was muted because I was rustling again.
Today, and I missed an hour or something. I believe so. I just go listening.
Have you got any updates, Anders? Any international updates? Anything you want to share?
We are having one new law group here in Sweden now, and there is a woman, I think she's about 85 or 90 years old, and she knows all about the law, why it's there, where it comes from. She knows the history, she knows everything about it. And it's so amazing because we found out that Sweden actually have a constitution, and that is the ground laws. That is the constitution. So we are not different from other countries.
Yeah, we've got the reform of the human rights being proposed here, and the inclusion of the bill. We've got lots of laws being juggled, and we've had emergency secondary legislation implemented by the present government with minimum resistance by the opposition party. We've got there's lots of amazing areas transforming right before our very eyes.
Yeah, the matter under special. I can't think what the term was now. I was having a laugh the other day with Anne about it. Special measures or special regulations because of all the dodgy shit. Still won't go anywhere, but it sounds like they're doing something.
Could it be?
Didn't get that, Anders.
Oh, I said, could it be special needs?
Yeah. Oh, they're definitely that you have to have those to get in now, I think.
There's a lot of disclosure going off at the minute, a lot of key and integral things over the last 5 years especially. We've got the 75th of Roswell and the fabulous story that portrays. We got the likes of Stephen Greer and Bob Lazar all over the shank. We got that Linda Moulton Howe on the space-like external front there. We've got Billy Carson spewing out content over. Absolutely, he's picked up upon it. That was good when I heard Billy Carson talk about the Bible and the fact that the Bible presents the Lord God as knowing everything, and he is omnipotent, omnipotent, and all of this. And then he says, so we go back to the Genesis story and the Garden of Eden, and he has to ask the question, what go on here? Why be you wearing a leaf, children? And Billy just says, so we find others in bigger, faster circles of the intellectual freedom movement are also looking at works of and studies and languages, sky gods to some extent, and the Elohim, and the work that's coming out and the questions that it's good to see that there is a lot of highly accredited, substantiated but non-academic, independent minds out there that are just all on. There's a lot on the same vibe with the negativity that we see on one side of the scales, and the hardship and the pestilence and sorrow. On the other side of it, there is a lot of divine synchronistic works being done, and there's very much the underdogs can obviously take their own action and remedy their own life. Those of us that are still in that mindset of we can save the whole world and we can bring the system down. That's no longer an option because they have armies and weapons and rockets and red buttons and cells and agencies and the ability to make your life a misery. And it would be a long time off before any kind of political forefronts change would be enabled by our non-acquiescence to certain attributes to our life. We're not taught about law. We're not taught about money. We're only basically taught about religion, which is not as it seems at all. So now we are educated to some extent and aware, and the works that we've done and the other leaders in the intellectual freedom movement, the pioneers, the works that have been done, the shoulders of the giants that we can all stand on. We give thanks and credit to those that think that you can bring the system down. You can't, and you shall not yet. But a lot of us in the right position, in the private, coming with enforcement such as, then and using universal, fundamental, immutable, positive, laws of which our society decrees or deems, valid and viable. So it was just good to see that others are on the same thought path, and the works. I saw FPV name in the chat. I want to say hello to him as well, and the works that other channels, what Paul's done, what Stephen's doing in his works there with council tax, bills of exchange, using the practice directions to hold the claims made. Claims, back in the day we were told not to deal with them. We were told to return them and to forget about them, to bin them and to ignore them. Unfortunately, when the controversy arises at a legal level, at that law level, then you have to deal with it, and there's various ways to deal with it, and one of them is the correct way, and 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them are the incorrect way. And the fact that you will follow the correct way but still not get a result is not uncommon. And that's because the establishment and the system are looking to push you and I to the last hurdle to see if you can hold others to account, to settle your accounts and the charges and to discharge charges. That's exactly the type of business
Lillian,
you will do.
can you stop him?
I see flies in the house. Long time. Where you been? Excuse me. Mr. Greggs. Evening, how are you, mate? Hope the family's all right. I see Claire was in, not Randall. Byrne, hello, mate. How are you? Hope you're all right. I did see your message in there. Thank you.
Claire, I see Claire as well. Give them a shout
yeah,
out.
I just.
Gansders now. Yeah, Fly, long time no see, Fly. Aye, Fly, Burn, Andy. Yes, I'm pretty much confident that with the collective amount of knowledge our private community now holds, and with the testimonials, with the publications, with the skin in the game, with the feedback and the results that we've seen, even to the point where most recently the ICO emailed me saying that they wasn't going to uphold a claim because it was out of time, it wasn't filed in time, and I had to write a short, concise email back telling them that unfortunately I'm disappointed, in their lack of power, that they've got their hands tied behind their back and have less power than the ones that are the companies that are committing crime that they're paid to independently investigate and help regulate. I said, if anything, the ICO should have more power than the companies that it's investigating, so it can put the rope and tape and necessary fines, fees and forfeitures and legal movements, actions of law onto offending companies that continuously breach data and ignore, and commit crimes as such as this. Breaches of regulations is the terms I used, and they emailed back shortly after saying, here's a copy of the letter that we've sent to the data controller from the DVLA, and here's a copy of the letter that you need to read, and we thank you very much, and that's the case, dismissed from their point of view. They didn't need to speak to me anymore. They've acted on the information of which they were given, and they tried to get out of it initially, but they were responsible to do that. They're paid and employed to do that, and it is conscionable for them to do that, and to know of a crime and to ignore it and to let it pass is to be like aid and abet, and there are various bits of Latin and references we could throw in there, and that's the sorry state of affairs. I was angry and I was annoyed, and a younger me would have gone off on a keyboard warrior and aggravated and vexated and made the situation worse and more untenable, whereas now I've just thought I'm going to play it a different way. I've learned quite a lot of new tricks from you, from others, and from myself, own development, and self-mastery, good governance, and I played it a little bit coy, and I let them know that I was a little bit saddened by their inability and having their hands tied, and they've acted on it. There was a time where I had to stand before a representative for the Secretary of State, who was there on behalf of the Child Maintenance Services, and answer for a debt of £25,000, which was incorrectly applied, but it got all the way up until an independent tribunal, of which I had to request to have a representative for the Secretary of State sat opposite me and a representative for the Child Maintenance Services there, and we all had to argue why I didn't owe 25 grand and they're saying I owe 25 grand. And if I hadn't have got the energy and the ability to have done that, and to enforce and retain my rights and hold them to account through their egregious mismanagement of something at a time where I was already delicate, depressed, suicidal, and not in a good place, it just goes to show you again the organised crime which is going off. There's only so much plausible deniability that they can argue before we have to point out enough is enough. We're calling you out. Sort us out and pay us off and move us to the private, or we're coming back with all our friends and we're going to do ring-a-ring poses around this corporate city of London that's ensconced itself as a separate country on this landmass in London town, and we're going to forcibly have to remove you, and shit ain't going to be pretty. I yield.
Don't you think it can be the other way around? I mean, that England belongs to the city of London.
first in time, first in line. It goes on battles, so no, it goes on territory and it goes on colonisation, and the way that the rules of war work, and are seen to have worked and that are overseen by the Vatican City. So no, the country was conquered 95% by William the Conqueror, but he couldn't get into London. So the Normandy invasion that we had failed to 100% occupy the landmass. So a deal was done, as we know, and they've been ensconced there as a separate country, the same as Washington and the same as the Vatican City. It's separate to Italy and America. So we have a separate jurisdiction within a jurisdiction that's ensconced itself in London town, and London City and London town are the separate jurisdictions that we have. So that's where that jurisdiction and the United Kingdom of Great Britain lives. But it isn't part of Britain or England because it's not been officially occupied. There's a treaty and a pact between them. So agreement of trust.
Sorry.
I have one question too. I was posting earlier today. It's a video about something called Kingdom of David. And I found that quite interesting because they are talking about the quite same things that you are doing. So I was just wondering if you have been watching the video or if you have heard anything about this group, Kingdom of David.
No, I have heard zilch, zero, nothing, nada, but it sounds a little bit scary because it's got religious connotations already, hasn't it? There, so normally these are these just titles, but it's quite vital you hold the right title, as we've come to learn. And so yeah, if it's heavily directed by an undertone of a religious nature, or I don't know, it's not a bad thing necessarily. A cult. I'm leaning to the word cult.
Yeah, but it's not actually. I found it quite good, you know, and it was more built up because they said there were some temple rules that should be obeyed, I think. I don't remember really, no, but I want you to watch that video. I think it's some quite good information in it, and it's not religious.
That's all right. No, it's yeah. I'll have a look at it. I will review it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely. 100%. It's decoding the what we've all been doing, what all of the channels and thought leaders and publications and Blavatsky's and Steiner's and Watts's and other great legends that we've Santos and Maxwell. Stitchings to some extent, and looking at the works and each religion, I'd argue, is not wrong, but you would need to look at them all in order to gain a truer picture. And the various editions of the Bible that we've seen, and the canonization of the Bible and the reason why that was done and by whom and when, and then previous to that, Zoroastrianism and the Magi, and then previous to that, obviously the Torah and the Hebraic text, the phonetic text, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Assyrian text, and then the Egyptians and the Battle of Gilgamesh and the Enuma Elish, then the Vedas and the sutras from they were just the books and the teachings and the culture from India linking closely with China, and the Buddhist sutras and the Tibetan, side of things, and the Japanese Shintos leading on to Mesoamerica, and the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas, and indigenous origines of America. And you look at them, and we've looked at them, and we listen to others, and we summarise and paraphrase there. But yeah, that's all part of your journey, the hero's journey. It's not all shits and giggles when you go on this path of enlightenment and to seek your soul and to find out who you are and to regain your memory and to connect with your higher self and effectively find your own personal Jesus, Buddha, Zoroaster, whoever it might be. Get to the Zion, have the Nirvana moment. It's a journey of sorrow, sadness, remorse, happiness, joy, love, all of the qualities of which you need to prove before the universe will trust you. The teachings of Pazio as well help many, but there is a secret key, the lost keys, the key that we found the keys in equity and trust propositions, we found the keys in etymological root languages and the works of Maxwell and Bonacci to help us along the way, and O'Collins as well, to be fair, and Bill Turner, and moving from and up to present day and what we've collectively done, and having an autistic trait or being on an autistic spectrum, or to be suffering with an infliction, as the academic and medical profession calls it. They've got anything but intelligence. They have no right to have the snake and the pole as a form of knowledge. We're having a different makeup and having a position of, I would call it a superpower, being able to look at numbers or letters or language or do mathematics or remember how to put back an engine you took apart for the first time and it still run and not blow up, to program computers, to run your own business, to manage a family effectively and keep the wolf from the door, and everything above that forward, is these qualities that we have between us, and we need to utilise this more, this knowledge, this flexibility. Kevin, are you there? Anders?
I'm always here.
I'm here too. I'm just brushing my teeth.
Yeah. Again, sometimes it's an odd situation, is it? You have to wait for these opportunities to turn up. It's not some of the things you don't want to bring them on yourself necessarily, do you? Just to test stuff out. But definitely, we've all had some skin in the game. That's to say, that's the difference with a lot of us. But in interesting times, but as I say, the gatekeepers are strong.
Yeah, and ultimately it will be a Masonic Freemason in the form of a High Court judge in the Court of Equity, probably in the courts of arbitration or something similar. And if your paperwork doesn't precede you, which it should, and when you're making a claim, those that make the claim are obliged to provide the burden of proof, and you articulate in such a way that you'll be stood before one of the controllers of the Matrix.
Yeah, you'll need to. The main thing is up at that sort of level is competence. That's what they're looking for. You're going to get tested. As we've seen so many times before. It's all right producing or submitting documents, but if you don't grasp what they are and what they say, you get questioned. And you say, "Oh, I don't know. I just sent it in." Then you're going to fall down at the earliest possible opportunity. So you've got to comprehend what you're doing as well, understand it, understand it, overstand it, so that that's where you're at. You're going to get tested for competence. That's what it's all about. Because don't forget, they think you're an idiot. That's why they've been in control. So you've got to prove that you're competent, amongst other things.
Yep, that's right. And when they say you're another free man on the land or sovereign citizen, And hopefully the videos that we did the other week and the content and the publications and the biblical references and the inclusion of the biblical precepts next to the Ten Commandments and all of the evidence that we've presented for ye now means that you can argue your way out of it competently, articulately, concisely, cite and reference, hold them to account in the correct jurisdiction, in the correct jurisprudence of law, at law, and you can also, maintain your private dignity, respect, and sovereignty whilst doing all of this. So there's never been a time before where we've been able to do all of the things that we're going to propose to do, and there will be some concise short videos made, much like the equity. I've given you all a free taster with regards to the playlist, equity and trust, and the three certainties. That's the type and the style and the quality that you're going to get. Getting old, we're getting tired, time is short, shit's going down, and we need to bust a move, because it doesn't seem to me that anyone has that's able to tell us, or it's each for their own. What you do for yourself, you do for others in many respects, but I think we should, a lot of us should get up to the level where we're at. We show you what we've done with our estates and the reasons why we've done that, and the instruments we've used and the applicable areas of law to use and to reference, and case law to reference it. You'll notice in the playlists of equity and trust, I've overdosed it with reference where it's unequivocally 100% kosher and does what it says on the tin. And we are immersed, myself, Kevin, the scribes, the admins, we're immersed in multifaceted interfacing and but separate streams of law, like I've said, with the controlling factions of the state, where there's a judicial state, there's a religious state, there's an academic state, there's a financial state. The state itself, the organisation, the corporation which is running the beast system, has a lot of areas of which to interface with: financial, religious, educational, the actual language and styles, the non-codified constitution that we have, which is known as the acts and statutes, legislative arm of the state. So we've got quite accustomed over the last 5 to 10 years, but especially the last 5, with terminology, with applications and uses, with directions, with being confident, controlled, calm, in honour, with clean hands, and not in a position of fault or default. And we are ready to move, a lot of us, to that same position. And that sounds like a big feat of a claim to make. But it's not, and it's not trying to act big or clever. It's the fact that you all need to have done certain things to protect your rights, your titles, your property, your blood. And if we show you where it says in the current legal New World Order system, because this is the evidence, for the front end, the end user product of the New World Order is all of this, what we're facing today, being overrun, overpinned by the various institutions, bloodlines, families, banking families, and the mass deception that is before us. And we are all honourable, kind, loving, crazy living souls. And you deserve the right to have, like Tesla is inspirational, Jack Fresco inspirational. They have so much to give, and they could make millions from it, but they just want to give it away, and they just want it to help people. Great others that have gone before that just give stuff away that is just invaluable. And it's what we need to do. We need to be the change we want to see, and we need to do things that are just right and proper. Unfortunately, we don't exist in a just right and proper environment. So we'll show you the basics and the reasons for.
That's the problem. Yeah, it's not us. It's what we're up against. They just won't have it.
They will do, though. That's the thing. When I say we can't take down the system, and we can't go to a court and bring the whole shit house, down in flames, it's management and exiting and doing it, and done in the correct realm. We found the protection. We found the articulation, the terminology. We've found the instruments, we've found the coloured ink, we've found the officers, we've found the governing secular laws, we've got the Mosaic Abrahamic laws, we've got international laws, we've got the propositions of equity and trust, and then we've got to do something soon other than the standard let's have a riot and blow shit up and open the doors up for the next wave of the totalitarian tiptoe of the Club of Rome. So yeah, it's going to be one of them where we're going to have to put our money where our mouth is and look at the basics of effective estate management, why you would do that, how you would enforce it. I've already given you the playlist Equity and Trust and these 3 certainties. So if you're serious about this, you would visit that. You would come to join our private domain. You would come to support us, and you would join our private educational community of living souls that need to pull our finger out effectively, and then I think together collectively, when we've done that and we've got the equitable title rights restored rather than such things as legal possessory title rights, and moved from trustee to beneficiary, and instructed and informed and required of various ministers and executives of the corporation, the company known as the United Kingdom of Great Britain Corporation, and we deal with the corporation's government executives directorate. I think if we all have a big chat, we give you the information you require in video format, in tutorial format, in workshop format, via the bespoke private forums that we have on tailored topics such as this. So then we obviously recognise we need to limit what we do in the public and how much we give away now, because times are ever changing, and we would rather keep honour and privacy as much as we can now. So we've got a lot of options before us, and in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. Yes, and we know the rules of the game, most of them. We've got the evidence, we've got the case law, we've got the history, and now we just need to effectively make sure we all agree on the reasons for and the benefits, and weigh up that information. That's all we ask, and then the protection is self-evident. I'm just scanning the chat room. Jones is in.
Yeah, I can't see it at the moment. I'm outside and it's indoors. The cat's here though. One of them.
Have you building yourself a smoking shed? No, Kevin.
No, the weather's quite nice at the moment. I've got a like a day shelter for carp fishing that I can flick up if the weather turns on me though.
Yeah.
We've got comments here in the chat room. United Nations Convention Laws of the Sea, 1982, international law. Get ready to roll out of trouble as they use maritime admiralty jurisdiction. Yeah, yes, correct. Lex Mercatoria, the law merchant, the merchant laws, merchant bankers, merchant traders, going back to the black nobility getting kicked out of, the Phoenicians migrating, the black nobility ending up in Venice, housing and moving on from the, what would we call it, global control of the elect. It's all got, when we speak of constitutions, there are various constitutions at play, constitutions and laws, and when you try to use certain areas, you're mixing jurisdictions, then they will not be recognised. It's failing to perform. A performance is required. We've talked about equity in the Actors Guild, equity in performing and actors having titles, and the similarities between performances, military performance, militaries perform. Troops, actors have troops, military have troops, and then we go into language, water, charges, electricity, L, Elohim, L being God, L even, 11, twin pillars, This is what I mean, being on the spectrum of non-normality is obviously a unique advantage to some of us that like to dabble in these areas, because those that
It's a polite way of saying mental.
yeah, those that come into this realm that are of a standard constitution and have a short saturation point, and don't deal with information and broad random subjects and controversial topics, including, you know, such areas of what we've got into, would find it hard. And that's why we excel in what we do together, pooling our resources respectfully, honourably, you know, with trust underpinning it all. It's you know, it's off the work of others. We continuously improve and correct and amend, and yeah, it's now 2022, and I was expecting hoverboards and and all to be fed, housed well. You know, waiting a day for an ambulance, for the goodness sake, you can wait up to a day for an ambulance because we're strapped and this, that, the other, and the economy and the interest and the Chancellor and Boris, and we can't give nurses a 2% pay rise because we just haven't got the funds. But yeah, Ukraine needs a bit of support, and suddenly there's billions spare. And I'm not saying we shouldn't support them. What I'm saying is, isn't it funny how priorities lie and where money pots are hidden for certain causes?
It's not going on the national debt. It ain't coming from nowhere. There ain't no pots and nothing.
It's mad, isn't it? Yep. There's Putin saying that he's got some rockets called Satan 2, and if Britain doesn't stop, if the corporation known as the government of the United Kingdom doesn't stop supporting Ukraine, and then the rockets can be with us in 3 minutes, and we will feel the wrath of Putin. So if you haven't heard of that, or has heard of Putin's threat towards the United Kingdom's government and our landmass, known as the United Kingdom, which it isn't, but you know, Putin's made some stark comments with regards to, you know, how things are. You know, when we went to an illegal war in Iraq, and we haven't got clean hands, none, the Commonwealth hasn't. You know, they make remarks like humanity is evil and self-destructive. No, it isn't. It's not humanity at all. It's the fact that we have corporations, dead legal entities with more power than living souls, running the show under the remit of Francis Assisi and the papacy, in the name of God. In God we trust is what they like to say, and to swear oaths to God and this, that, the other. But we have regular media remarks and comments reference mankind as being evil and self-destructive, when most mankind souls that I've met are quite the opposite.
3 minutes, you say?
Let's go on. Hey,
3 minutes, did you say?
that's what Putin's made the world aware of, especially the Prime Minister in office at the moment. Yeah, 3 minutes. Satan 2, 3 minutes. Putin, Boris. They're the keywords to use to search.
That's
Okay.
never gonna happen. You know?
Just enough time for a wank.
Yeah. Kevin.
Still enough time to. Yeah, so it's just the global stage. We need to work towards some kind of, removal of narcissistic psychopaths that have red buttons and nuclear capabilities.
Wasn't that one of his alleged spokesmen, though? It wasn't him directly that said it.
Yes, it come from, and through from,
Looked like a farmer with a jacket on.
We're all for giving support and international relief and that, and when we understand what true money is, what true currency is, our word is our bond, our bonds, money, finance, solvency, insolvent, glue, bonding, baby, mum, birth, bonding, skin, touch, you know, all of these, we need to sort it all out. We need to get a non-corrupt, positive, loving, wholesome language that means what it says. When he says something, there's no interpretation. There's no different dictionaries you could confuse it with. Number one, the language. Number two, the actual currency, word, bond, community, environment. The Jack Fresco Venus Project. If you've never heard of that, you'll see why that's been kept from the media forefront. Much like other, since the last 100 years, what's been kept out of the newspapers and subsequent, TV media, the narratives there. We need to work towards, we need a lot of help. We've got a lot of good ideas, jurisdictions, countries, we can look at sorting our own land mass and territory out, not so much joining them, but getting recognised. And you think of it like sectors of society that operate, that are outside, such as travellers, such as Amish, such as the Mormons, such as the people with diplomatic immunity, such as monarchy, so in society there are titles and rights, and there is segregation, and there are blurred lines between them, and there are rights to choose. So there are many out there that have got ideas and uniform commercial codes and canon laws, and putting a company into registering it and affording liability, circumventing the propositions and law, of equity and trust and equity itself, finding workarounds using, that's fine. And if it works, it works. Come and let us know. But we believe, myself, Kevin, the admins, some of the ones that we talk to in the private, that we have now, 95%.
Say that Jack Fresco, that's a bit scary actually, because if you look at Agenda 2030, that comes quite close to that we're gonna live in communities and not in contact with the nature. I don't care what the Jack Fresco said, that we're gonna live in the nature. Yes, in a big oxygen bubble or something. I don't trust that. I really don't trust it. I think it is us humans that has to do it naturally, in a way, evolving, It can't be in another way. People can't tell us how to do this. We've been listening to these people for too long,
You're right in a way. Yeah, action does need to be implemented and fast. And the Venus Project 3D CGI imagery, there's only one place, I think, in America, it might be in California, that has been set up by Jack Fresco before he died, and I think Roxanne Meadows, and I think some people from the Zeitgeist movement videos. There has been only one place set up there, yeah, but he was interviewed in 1972 on the Larry King show, and his idea was to live harmoniously in line with nature using 0-point energy along the lines of Tesla, and the domes are used so you could have climate control for vegetation growth, various aspects of weather, climate control. You'd still access outside, and it would be in the community, but it would be beneficial to have a closed off area as opposed to just all open area, like tribal, like utilising, recycling, capturing, and making things coefficient, an element of coefficiency there. So just proposals, much like what Tesla came out and allegedly said, there's no need for any more wars. I can give free electricity, I can send up some energy and whap it round the earth and keep hitting it till it picks up perpetual speed and it gets to a certain momentum, at which point it becomes beneficial to reharness and collect and start more off. And it was ideas of such that were proposed from the freedom of information and the declassification of files from intelligence agencies. This is the way that we should, and since 10,000, 20,000, probably 50,000 BC, we've had the ability to harness great amounts of power in line with nature. It's only since the last 2,000, especially the last 2,000 years, but say 12,000 BC to now 14,000 years, especially since the new age of mankind, civilization, a new type of mankind that has emerged with this orders and bloodlines and shape-shifting whatevers, and it's just insane, isn't it, the material and evidence that's out there to say who and what we are, where we've come from, how we are, the conflicting information, the supposition, the psychological operations that are put out there, the red herrings, the time wasters, the deterrent. It's it takes a lot to find the good stuff amongst all of the information out there. But Jack Fresco Venus Project and his inventions there, the 90% couldn't fault them. But not good for companies, not good for business. Like, you go over the last 100 years and you look at since First World War, the First World War and how that was orchestrated, and it's been proven now in the annals of history and through evidences and certain documents and factual findings in academic peer-reviewed arenas. The Great Depression of America, orchestrated by a few that would profit from it, to then 4 years prior sell their shares, get out the stock market, accumulate wealth, crash the market knowingly, and then having all that wealth at hand to then rebuy everything back up. We look at the Bank of England and how the Bank of England was allegedly acquired, and the selling of the shares by certain loyal investors and reputable bankers and merchants and traders, millionaires if not billionaires at the time, and that then sent shockwaves round, and everyone started selling, and they controlled and contrived the market in such. And then obviously when the Battle of Waterloo, was it Wellington, etc., the birds coming back, and then the re-emergence of the information and what families got the information first, and the management of and the acquisition of. So it isn't so much conspiracy theory and tinfoil hat areas now what we're in. The facts have been laid down, and the facts of the matter, we operate on substance over form, as the viewers described. The good self-governing sovereigns do. We have all of the information referenceable for you to find that. We've shown it you. So now we need to actually implement some actions in August at our seminar in Rickmansworth, and through this channel via the articulation of concise short videos on subject matter which is relevant to what you're doing, and that will be made available to the levels of channel supporters that I've got, to show appreciation and thank you, and to continue privately, moving in the privately moving towards coexisting. Yeah.
Can I just say, because it's been a while, and I was just thinking about them just yesterday, Lisa and James in the place. They've managed to find some time in all this summer madness they go through every year. So great to see. I hope everything's good with all of you and the family. And I'd say don't work too hard, but that's not possible, is it?
Hello there, James, Lisa. What? Nice to see you tonight. How is life? That was like the cat's version of a roar.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to excuse. That's Loki, and he's vociferous, and because I won't allow him out now, so he's just creating. He's normally in bed at this time of night, you see, but his mummy's not here, so that's why all the dogs are next to me too.
Bless.
Usually on my own at this time. Well, you've got a couple of cats with me, but Loki.
Speaking of family and animals and pets and farms and chickens and hens and roosters and life and death and circles and souls and all of the stuff we speak about, family. It was on the news the other day that there's certain type of parents, foster parents, that take the children when a family gets in trouble and they don't want to put their children into foster care. There are other types of care that are available, and it's where the family, it's where family members look after the children that the present family can't look after. They're not called volunteer foster parents. They're not called foster parents, but they're called, the state gives them a name. And it was when I was listening to that these parents that aren't listed as foster parents, but what they've done is they've said, here, Dave, Anne-Marie, there's no point Yanka going into care. Brother and sister will look after Yanka until you get on your feet. But because brother and sister have done a good deed and stepped in and said they'd look after the child, the asset, the offspring, Yanka, then because they're not registered carers and they're not foster carers, they get no state help. But people that go through the orthodox avenues of fostering and caring and so forth do get an entitlement to state help. And so they were saying that by doing the right thing, you are less well off. And there are people out there in the present times of July 2022, in all of this uncertainty and heightened interest and inflation, that are saying they might have to now either give the children back to the original family or put them into care, because there is no financial support. And then that set me on the train of thought of thinking, why can't we just all get together and set some institution up that's private and a private trust and look after them ourselves? They get family members to do so, or find ways, avenues, means, resources, finances to be able to do this nationally across the landmass at certain private retreats, parks. Do you know what I mean? Ourselves, and take it away, get the funding that is available from the state, if need be, and turn it into a registered non-for-profit, non-government organisational charity, and do it the orthodox way again, and just go out for funds and money, because that was a key area which made me think of why we need to do what we're doing, in the forms of what are powers of attorney, what types of powers of attorney can you assign, and dependent on your state and country, they differ. Why would you look at powers of attorney? How does that differ to attorney at law? What is an attorney at law? What are you doing, in a legal judicial environment? Then why would you look at wills and testament? And if you've got one, is it done correctly? And has it expressly got the title, rights and property going to the correct beneficiaries? And will it stand at law? You know what I mean? And then there's the ecclesia side of it. We can't argue with the papacy, the proclamations, the unum sanctum, and the Vatican's involvement in. So we have to recognise that, and the merger of the church and the state here in England, the various churches, where the inclusion of the corporate city of London still being ensconced in London town since 1066. You know what I mean? Washington still being separate to America, Vatican City being separate to Italy. We need to look at this, and we need to recognise what relevance that has and why, and then give that information for you to freely consider, and to get checked out elsewhere, and to use the content we give you, the publications, the course that we have on the domain on SPLS Pro. We're restarting, and we're getting ready to have regular Telegram chats with regards to an introduction into equity and trusts, featuring works from a professor, Alistair Hudson, and his books and works and teachings. So again, it's not just this journey that you're on. As much as you want to pay somebody or to get and obtain a template, there's only so much that you can get given to you and done for you before you actually have to pay attention. And for your payment of attention, you will get back some information, some wisdom, and you will use that to your advantage. You lose the fear. Unfortunately, that's the way the universe and the fundamental aspects of life and spiritual growth, spiritual attunement, atonement is set up, and you can only do it by your own efforts. So that Kevin can practice, and preach on that. Anders can, I can. We've had a lot of great results. We've gone from strength to strength. We've corrected a lot of errors and mistakes, and we've put in information that was missing and covered the omissions. We've tried to do it honourably. We've tried to have a laugh, and we've tried to give you as much in the public domain as is tenable. But we now recognise that we need to bust more moves. We need to do something. We're getting older. We're getting tired. Time waits for no man. And we just want to give it one last kick and then go for the once we're all protected. It makes sense to you, doesn't it? Obviously, put the armour on, get strong, get protected. It's manage the estate, express so correct titles, execute documents as a deed, all at law levels in the common law of England and Wales, as per the merger with equity into common law with the Adjudicature Act of the 1870s. And then holding people to account. That's what we're good at. We've been doing that for a while, and it's now we're ready. We're confident. We are knowledgeable enough, competent enough, and without ruining our integrity, I think we need to press forward. And most of the questions that we get asked, most of the frequently asked questions, and your issues will be solved by you doing or considering the information we give you. And then looking at the rest of the rebuttals, the 12 presumptions of law, communicating with higher levels of government, as well as to the archbishops of the members of the papacy and clergy, to thank them and let them know that we're not lost, we're not abandoned, we're not dead, lost at sea, we're not corporations, we're not persons. We are the executives of the estates. We are here, we are letting them know we are claiming the estate. It's equitable remedy, interest, relief. We want paying for being an employee of a corporation of which we didn't know we was the employee of, and we want all of the capital gains back. You see, so when you hear us say that there is relief and remedy and monies out there in bank accounts and trusts and master trusts and gold bars and ill-gotten gains by the Commonwealth and Corporation or Britannia and etc., and these are just a few areas of where we would be looking, other than the Vatican seller of gold and the international banking, Switzerland in Basel, and the Securities Exchange Commission, a few of the other players with the Council of Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, the Freemasons, the Illuminati. Who lives in an environment like this? Kevin, Anders, it's over to you.
We do, is the simple answer.
I just have to say that your shirt is not doing great on video, David.
I know. Thank you, Anders. It's got a lot of colour and characters on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, bro. I won't wear it again. Put it like that. And it's not really the topic. The quality of the chirp is what we need, and the content, what we tell in the chat room, what we are going to use this as a promotional video to show others of the areas, the depth of where we're at, and the confidence levels we have. Give them access to publications we've already done, to notices we've done. We've worked that Kevin and Graham have done with the DWP. We've worked that we've done collectively with individual works, with our publications and works, the playlists that are relevant to the areas and aspects of law that people need to look at. So, as Jack Fresco said, the shit's got to go.
Absolutely. Just a quick remark, if I may. Kathy put a question in about a friend of hers. I have responded, Kathy, if you're still in. Yeah, it'd be easier if we have we can have a chat, but that's an easy fix. The only thing we can't control is the time it's going to take, because they're bastards, but we can get that corrected and backdated. Maybe even without having to push it to a tribunal. I think we've got it strong enough now. So, yeah, if you're listening, Kathy, we'll have to. What day is it? Sunday. We can catch up later in the week if you want to have a chat. We can put something together. It's not a problem. Thank you. Kevin out. I've just got to go and let another dog in. Legs killing me. They're doing it on purpose.
Oh, wow. Mr. Menza, thank you for the link. I've just clicked on the video and I will have a look at that with regards to that Bitcoin video, is it? Was it Bitcoin, yeah? the SV. I'll put a note in the comments. Check the comments in a couple of days, and I will catch up and have a look at that. And
yeah, sorry, I'm just responding to Lisa again. She's put a comment about, yeah, I know, don't I know that I don't know if you're still on Messenger, obviously, because I've been a shitbag and I haven't sent you any messages recently. I don't know if you're on any other, you're on Telegram, the Russian one. We're fucked wherever we go. But yeah, Telegram. So we keep in contact. Always thinking of you all the time, both of you. So I always think, oh yeah, it's summer, bloody nightmare when all the work starts. No, but I have missed the occasional chats. Obviously, we've been quiet on here for a while because lots of things going on with health. I don't know if you were in earlier, David, and all sorts of things and commitments. So yeah, we're trying to step it back up a bit because we've been quiet for a little while. I have anyway. Dave's been churning stuff out like usual.
done a good 30 videos, I think, content-wise. Content's been created. You got your Wizard of Oz there, you got your credit creation. Yeah, I've been busy still, not as busy. We've been trying to work out how to use our time effectively, go back to the basics, check why people haven't done the basics, and then look at amongst the estate management, going towards the communicating with higher levels of governments, ministerial trustees, and compelling them to perform, leading up to accessing at least some kind of capital gains and equitable relief. We can prove we're due it, the work that's been done. So, work, summertime, Alaska, it's all out now, isn't it? Hunting, gathering, fishing, pickling. We're getting out of this pickle. I'm Pickle Rick. Pickle Rick. If you know who Pickle Rick is, give me a nod.
Yes. Kathy, yeah. Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, whenever, anytime, sort of 11 a.m. onwards. I'm usually up to operating temperature by then. Or send me a text when you've got some time, whatever you want to do, and then yeah, that's easy. Put something together for that. Send it in. But that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with non-human entities, or actually human entities, because let's say one of the definitions of human is monster, and that's what you're dealing with. So we can correct that and put a rocket up their arse. And if they've denied her for a while, we'll be able to. We'll put in a mandatory reconsideration and ask for backdating. If they say no, we'll take the tribunal and we'll walk it. So, not a problem. I know it sounds really cocky, but it really isn't. When you know what they're doing, it's disgusting. But yeah, we'll sort it out. It's not. I'd say that's really easy. Rattle that together, send it in unrecorded, signed for, special, whatever you want to, depending on how much you want to spend.
I want to say thank you to Dave Paul. Wow, I'm overwhelmed. 61 pages in that PDF, entitled Orders Approved and Business Transacted at the Privy Council held by the Queen at Windsor Castle on the 8th of June 2022. And the councillors present, the Right Honourable Mark Spencer, Lord President, Right Honourable Nadine Dorries, the Right Honourable George Eustace, and the Right Honourable Grant Shapps. As you know any of them names. And it's got it's got interesting things about determining the specifications and design for a new series of £1,000, £500, £200 and £100 gold coins, and a new series of £500, £10, £5 and £2 silver coins, determining there's 60 odd pages here, so it's going through quite a lot. But I'll have a look at that. I've saved it. Interesting. I'm shape shifting. Yeah, I'm going to turn the video off for a minute. I've got to go mobile.
I'm shape shifting.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got to talk about rights as well. Obviously, how we see rights, where rights are from. Are they, unalienable? Are they gifts from government? How do we view rights? How do we enforce them? Where is the backing? The last video I did, the sovereignty proof of claim. You know what I mean? You should be able to work out and formulate where the rights are coming from, and who you are, what title you claim. They're on about human rights and amendments and changing, and it's each to their own, really.
Can I just shout Paul Webster? He's just saying good night. So thanks for popping in, Paul.
Yeah,
Hopefully we'll catch up soon, mate. We're gonna have a little chat just in the private. Just be nice to have a little natter. Doesn't have to do anything with it, and we've been talking about it for ages, but it never materialised. But I'll keep that iron in the fire. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, bless up.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We've got to pull our finger out, Phillips.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. Albert, just the man I wanted to speak to. That's Andy. How are you, mate? He's just popped in. Mr. Black. Who else is that? Have I missed anybody? I think that's most of them. David Baxendale came on. Missed you earlier. How you doing? Sorry, Dave. Didn't mean to take you off at a tangent, mate.
So good, my brother. Albert was here and he's disappeared.
Oh, what's happened here? What?
What?
How weird's that? Yeah. Sorry. For some reason, my phone, everything just went almost off. It all went to a tiny screen on the home screen. I haven't seen that before, so I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, so we pretty much covered all of the areas that I wanted to discuss, and to let people know update-wise. Yeah, to say thank you to the community and to those that support the channel. I'm going to do some bespoke private playlist for them on the relevant subjects that we're going to move forward through with regards to effective estate management. And to get a taste of it, I'd urge you all to frequent yourself with the equity and trust playlist that I've put up, entitled The Three Certainties and the Rule Against Perpetuities. And frequent yourself with that and get ready for what we're about to embark upon. And aside from that, then all levels of channel supporters will get that. The lower rate or the higher rate, those that can give more will give more. Those that can't. So I respect that and honour the fact that there's 4 levels of channel support there, as well as supporting us in the private at our domain. We would appreciate that. The seminar in August is free, and we've not paid a great deal to have this hosting that we're doing Rickmansworth on the 20th of August. So again, we'd appreciate those that come to support us in some way, whatever way they can. And we're going to be focusing on effective estate management, terminology within that, positions, titles, rights, documents, deeds, executing documents as deeds in line with legal and lawful laws of the common laws of England and Wales. And we appreciate that common law is transformed. It's gone through a bit of Yeah, a morphing like my shirt tonight has been shape shifting. Common law to us, to a lot of us. Those that have done the work and the research will have seen it. No harm, injury, and loss, duties and obligations of common law transform into including equity and trust and courts of equity and remedies such as. So again, it's a journey for all of us in many ways, you know, and we're all each day I'm still learning.
We're all still learning. But if you're there, mate, I couldn't find you. I bet you're thinking that wanker Phillips, he still ain't sent me all that stuff. I couldn't find you on WhatsApp, mate. I don't know if you can find me and add me or send me what you're under on WhatsApp in Telegram or something, mate. So I can send you that stuff over that I said I would send you over and haven't because I couldn't find you. Please.
He was in, he's gone now. I've just nipped to get some food and a drink, and yeah, he'll be bing bong when he comes back. But he was here, then he drops out.
Yeah, I think he's put a comment in here. Is maybe the internet or whatever. He says it opt off stream.
Okay.
Healing meet up. Don't know. That's Steve's domain. But obviously Rickmansworth, 20th of August.
And I'll put the details in for this. You'll get them in the video description, in our Telegram groups, in the private domain, and via Facebook SPLS Pro. So you'll get the details, which is giving you notice well in advance. It's got parking facilities, drinks, refreshments, licensed bar, tables, seats, a massive field at the back. Be a nice, hot, sunny day, and we're going to do a lot of good. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Following up from the success of our Wimbledon seminar. Thank you to brother, let me think of his name, Phil. It's been a while since I chatted to him. That's been an embarrassing moment, forgetting the man's name. But yeah, he's helped us with that. We rely upon your help and support. And if any of you can provide us spaces, venues, help us out in any way, then we are able to travel around and get to you. I may be changing from my 4 days working on, 4 days off, 4 on shift very soon. I might have decided to let the company that I'm currently in agreement with, an employee of, in a fashion, pay for my HGV training licensing for the next 9 months, a year. I can embark on an academy and look towards getting class 1 and 2 license, and making an agreement with a company where they pay for me to go through that. Should I pass and be successful, then I've got to work for them for an amount of time, or I buy myself out. So thought ultimately having a big rig and a trailer driven by the governor would be my ultimate with a fancy horn on it and some gadgets and whatever, you know. It's a pipe dream, but still
40-ton of sound rig on the trailer.
Yeah, seminar on mobile, whatever, party, bus. The options are unlimited for us. We are unlimited, unlike these limited corporations, PLCs and LTDs. We are ULTD, so to speak. So to get back on track, the time I have available might be going down to 2 days, because I might be doing Monday to Fridays training on a long wheelbase van, then moving up to a rigid, then moving up to the articulated, and then finally going for a test for C and D, is it 1 and 2?
Oh, David, I can see you there in an lorry cabin eating hedgehog burgers and singing "I Like Trucking."
Yeah, it'd be massive. Big beard, baseball cap.
I like trucking.
You pair can truck right off.
I'm a track mechanic, so I know how to handle truckers.
Grease monkey, eh? Oh, well then, grease monkey. You disrespect. You grease monkey. I like it. Yeah, well, it's just something to do, isn't it? It's the economy, the climate, recessions, uncertainty, and what to do. You know, we're positive in what we know and what we're going to do. But unfortunately, we live in a monetary environment where if you don't have any money, you die. You know, we're living in a legally opportunistic environment where the executives, agents, principals, agencies, and the entire factions of the state, the arms of the state that we've gone through and covered tonight and that we live with, they're like opportunistic thieves, and they just come along and they'll have a go. And if you can hold your own and you know who you are and what's what, then they don't generally win. But if you don't know what I've just said and they have a go, this one we've got a winner. We're emptying the pot. We're repossessing. We're doing this. You know, much like what happened in the Great Depression. It was all planned. It's been proven it was planned. People invested bonds, pledges. Do you know what I mean? And they put in property, bonds, accounts. You name it. They invested, and when the market crashed, they lost it all. And there was a set of families there that knew exactly what was going on and what was doing, and they took it from them. You know, and it just keeps history repeating itself. I know we've got more wealth than we could ever imagine. Getting to it is another story, isn't it, everyone?
Aye, that it is. Knocking on that door, I don't want to answer. There's nobody in.
What else has been happening? Did somebody turn up with carrier bags full of £2.5 million trying to launder it and got caught, connected with the royal family? What did I hear about this?
Oh,
Remind me. Carrier
I
bags.
don't know.
Someone connected to the royal family charity. Here, I'm going to donate you some money. The chat room all know. I heard some whispers of something, and I was like, surely not.
Oh, hello. Lost my connection. The story of my life. Oh, it's back. That's it. Weirdness. Don't know why it does that. Everything else is connected. Yes, we battle on, people. Knocking on all sorts of doors.
Battle on. Got the faith. We got faith. We don't need Bibles. Don't take the Archangel Michael. We shall all hear this recital. I need a party as well once we get sorted. I'd like to have a nice.
Oh, don't even start.
Some fun and relaxing somewhere. That'd be nice. Having a weekend event, a nice weekend session. That would be nice. We need to look at there's ever ongoing requirement of community help and assistance, and how we go about doing that with one another. Or 3 years to learn to be a plumber. I've checked it out after finding out he wanted £62.50 for half an hour. I might have to have a look at this myself.
Good money, mate, on the tools.
Looking after children, yeah, being stepping up and seeing how we can look after one another, and obviously not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry. We're both bored and checked and assured. We shouldn't be ever giving our blood, our young bloods, our young stars to a corporation with no soul, no heart, with the interest. I know it's a good little facility to have, but is it really? The social care system is a Jenga block held together by sellotape, and it's crumbling and falling apart, like many areas, like the roads of the country, like the educational system, the curriculum, what they're teaching them, how they're teaching it, what they can do. You can go to school and talk about quite a few controversial topics, but you can't talk about God. You can decide what gender you are at the age of whatever, but you can't talk about certain other subjects that are too controversial. It's absolutely insane. Even the education, not just the fact of community support, but looking after one another and working together, but obviously educating one another. None of us are scholarly types, academic types, but we've got the ability to conquer and beat representatives and people from offices, public offices, or public authority offices, officers of the offices of public authority, and the representatives and government representatives, and we do well. So what does that tell you? There's a reason why they didn't teach us the rules of law, the rules of finance, the rules of true language, and they gave us a debased language when they removed the Latin from it. And we've done, so if they did give us this, and they did endorse at the time, the academic institutions known as trust schools, public and private schools, etc., they gave us all, we all had equal access to every bit of information that was required to be educated duly. We've done really well.
Who's Julie?
Julie, she knows Dawn. But still, we get there ourselves, and that's another part of the beauty of life, I suppose, and the journey that you're on.
And it is a journey with no final destination yet.
And going back and listening to some of my records and CDs and Sasha mixtapes and Digweed and Dreamscape, Fantasia, and getting all my vinyls ready for when the man cave's done and I can get my Serato laptop on with the 1210s and then the Pioneer CDJs, and just I'm going to go and I'm probably going to be in there a week. I'm just going to produce some of the finest old school mixtapes that you're all going to be like, I remember these. I listened to that. We'd even maybe have some private Telegram hookups or Zoom invites and do something, get the software sorted out so we can hold interactive online parties and physical parties and all sorts. We can have a radio show, I was thinking, news, independent news, comedy, radio, music.
Yeah.
Who knows? But the music we listened to and the people that we mixed with and who we were, you could see why they had to. Now looking back, you can see why they had to outlaw raves and the ecstasy community and what was going off there, because it was just peace and love, unity.
Yeah.
The music, the words, the tracks, the multitude of ethnicity that was mixing together, and the effects of ecstasy, MDMA as it is then, as against alcohol and cocaine, had a way to calm and mold society into the people that they should have been in essence. And I was going back, listening to it all, thinking, I nearly had a little cry, thinking if this had carried on, this would have had yeah.
You have to try and set something up like that, because then I can link in from this end, do some live stuff. Mine's all set up, ready to go. It's all done.
Yeah, no, this is it. I'm playing catch up, but yeah, the history, what's gone off, we quickly forget. We need reminding, because there's that much going on, and we've got that many duties and obligations, privately, professionally, publicly, legally, lawfully. It's if we had a choice and we could change a few things in life, I'm sure we'd all change the same things.
Yes. Be an easier life, I know that.
Yeah, time's getting on, like for me and Kevin and the admins and yourselves, and how long has this been going on since you first stumbled across the first video that put you on this path? Years. For a lot of us, it's been 10 plus years. Some of us 20 years. Some veterans 40 years. You know what I mean? So it's like people that study the Bible, they study it all their life, but still get no actual benefit from it other than they've got a personal version of Jesus there to talk to in their mind, and they've still not corrected their relationship with their self, with the universe, with true God and prayer and the powers, the forces that are at play through the flux fields of modality and etc. The cosmic forces, the atomic forces, the etheric forces. If we had time, money, and resources, the good that we could do be unimaginable.
Indeed.
To divert from public liability, to manage. It's just basically the nutshell of all of this is the government have made a mistake and we need to correct it.
Yeah.
That correction, administrative correction done.
Listen, guys, I'm gonna say thank you for tonight, and I'm gonna log out now.
All right, Anders. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, good to see you too,
Catch-
Kevin.
Catch up soon, fella. And yeah, much love to you, mate.
And you all take care now.
Much love, Anders. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you, bro. Much love.
Cheers, mate.
Just the chat room saying, Kevin.
I was just having a look. Do you know, my eyes are terrible at the moment. I don't know what's going on. I'm sure I'm holding it further away from me than normal. It seems to be... Let's go back a little bit. Pride shit show. So alarming. Did anybody see the meme that, wait, let's say it's a meme. There was some banner that was shot and it said Pride Month, all one word, might have been at Pride Month or something. And then somebody's pointed out that right in the middle of that one word is demon.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, yeah, in plain sight.
Oh, look, I you know, I've got nothing against anybody, but the trouble is, it's never enough, is it, for them? You know, it doesn't stop with, all right, look, we'll give you that. Then it's more and more and more, and it's just ridiculous. I stuck a meme up on SPLs today. I think the top half of it was a woman, I think with the microphone or something like that, saying, "I am woman, hear me roar." And then below it was, "I'm not sure what I am, hear me whine," with one of our little confused friends in it. But as I say, all I see is it going a bit like Canada, where, you know, I don't know how much notice you've taken of it, but I can't remember what the law is. But basically, it's starting to compel language, and you can be fined, etc., if you don't use it. I mean, if that ain't fascism, I don't know what. Unbelievable. So I've got no problem with anybody. I don't care what you do, how you do it, who you do it with, what you call yourself, how you dress. I don't give a shit. And if you ask me that you wanted to be called a girl's name and you were a man, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But it never ends there. This is what concerns me. It's just this why, all these transphobic attacks. Where's it going on? And seeming as most of the media publications these days are left wing, you'd think these attacks would be all over the pages, wouldn't you? Not that I read the news, so they could well be. I could be shooting myself in the foot here. But it's all this, it's making up things that aren't happening. But there again, you know, if you've got a penis and call yourself a woman, I suppose you might be inclined into that realm. You know, I think there's maybe a kangaroo loose in the top paddock.
Came on 8:30 says, hello there, by the way, long time, and thank you. For every lie told incurs a debt to the truth. Sooner or later, the debt is to be paid in full. That's beautiful. And who is that? DN says, Pickle Rick, haha, I'm 12 minutes behind. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know who Pickle Rick is? Rick and Morty sketch show, comedy, animated, adult swim that I've taken a shine to, I'll be honest with. Got a top present given to me, all the characters of Rick and Morty. That's the colour changing, shape shifting jumper, the hoodie that I have on. I'm just scanning the room now, looking at the comments.
Yeah, I was a little bit behind. Well, I was, because I'd reversed. Mr. Mensa, hello, mate. You all right? Sorry, just seeing names that I haven't shouted out. Jesus Johnez, how are you, mate? JJ in the place.
Yes, I'm going to do some videos on the books that I've got, and I'm going to go through a few of the books and some of the thought leaders. Blavatsky, The Secret Doctrine, and Manly P. Hall, The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, some Rudolf Steiner, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and then, you know, escaping from law, trust, equity, legal, civil. It's not our bag. It's nothing to do with us. It's foreign material. What is to do with us is the quest for the soul, the spirit, the consciousness, you know, heart, love, hate, balancing ourselves out, working on ourselves, knowing ourselves, thyself, and looking at, you know, other areas of health and wealth, mentalizing. You know, that's where you look at all of the religions and you can find out the cultures, the types, how they lived, what they practiced, how they worshipped, you know, even down to, it was only because, this is one of the funny things, you know, one of the crazy things when you're researching that kind of needs to be shared and makes your day, in a way, when you find information like, you've heard of Vesuvius, and you're all aware of the mountain that exploded, the volcano, and Pompeii. Well, in Pompeii, the Romans were there, and they idolised phallic symbols, and they had their own way of worship, which will have been phallic worship and sexual gratification. They had slaves with them for a long time, Christian, Hebrew, a mixture of slaves. Arguably, those slaves will have been saying things like, "It's written here," you know, and quoting chapters and verses to the pagan Romans that had these Christian slaves at the time in Pompeii. And they had a lot of, what would we say, resistance to Christianity and Judaism, in fact, as it was then, but Christianity and Christ and Jesus and all of this approaching them fast. See, this is the research we put into shit. So, you know, when you do the boring stuff, some of the interesting stuff needs to be recited and repeated again, because this is hilarious, how the Romans adopted Christianity. Because when they were told repeatedly, year after year, by these now Christian slaves, that their time will come and the Lord God will destroy them, and you know, the volcano actually erupted, the scholars and the research and the work there put before you says that the part of most articulated and they can give to why the Romans adopted Christianity, and you see they were worshipping and what they were doing with pagans, paganism, and the way that they had adopted their own worship and religion, then going over to Christianity. And the Roman emperor that did that escapes me now, but I do have it written down. and I'm trying to remember him, but that's not going to come. Then when you hear of people saying that Christianity is based on pagan roots, and let me get to the point now, other than the funny fact that the Romans thought that the Great Lord had exploded Mount Vesuvius and wiped out Pompeii, and there was a lot of wealth there, a lot of important people as well. It wasn't just a Roman settlement area, and it had a lot of monies, and it had a lot of significance on them, because they thought the Lord God had actually done what the Christians has been telling them and ended, and so they kind of moved over from paganism to Christianity. And in modern day times you hear people say that Christianity has adopted such things like birthdays. Christmas Day 25th isn't Jesus' birthday. There are other true dates in the calendar, of which the Pentecost, crucifixion and other such dates and times are inaccurate in this Gregorian type calendar, and that the church and the Roman occupation that we've had via these secret societies and non-direct infiltration and occupation, and they've kind of kept true, to certain aspects. By that, again, you could argue that the statue that is presented in some churches with a woman and a baby has been argued to be Mary and Jesus. It was actually Isis and Horus, and it goes on forever. But it's just funny to think, looking at the annals of history and the what would we call it, the doctrine, the God doctrine in itself, the whole doctrine of God, to find that it's just insane, where you smile. You can't help but smile. You know what I mean? Vesuvius, Pompeii, penises, sex, Romans, slaves. None of it's good. None of it's wholesome. Where it originates from, these people, these bloodlines, these families, they're not honourable. They're not saints at all. And the things that have happened to them, how they perceive, it's we all sometimes think we've been cursed, or that because we've done something bad, and then you get something bad happen to you. Murphy's Law, Sod's Law. We've become accustomed to nicknames and making fun of them, and we live with them every day. But it's true and real. But to think that a whole society, a battalion of Romans and Caesar at the time thought that the Lord had bestowed the anger upon them. Yeah. How they then still show contempt in the face of, and how they proceeded forward, how the church and the acquired foreign territories, have been led against God, and then for them to swear to God. And it makes you wonder then, you see, at the end of the day, when the music stops playing and the lights go on and it's time for everyone to go home, it makes you wondering what God they are referencing. Because you look at Egypt or India or China or other civilizations and cultures, they had lots of gods and deities. The Freemasons speak of lodges and the universal lodge in the sky, and connecting to the original, a universal architect, creator, and gods and types of gods, and the spirits, forms that are out there, energy forms. It's a grand old setup that we found on the way to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
And to discover all this other shit.
Are you one of us, the Judean People's Popular Front? Yes, came on 8:30.
Fuck off. He's over there. Splitters.
Big nose. Yoy, big nose, 8:30. I'll take you to the fucking cleaners. We are not. Just realised, we are not the Judean People's Popular Front. We are the Popular Front of the Judean Peoples. Yeah, what a good chat we've had. I'm looking forward to August, and I'm looking forward to what we can do together, and to remedying all, probably this what we have proposed tonight will remedy millions of scribes and solves legal problems by correctly looking to consider or even effecting effective estate administration, and looking at last wills and testament, powers of attorney, doing things in front of time. You're looking at property, titles, rights, how to look at, proving at law levels you have the title rights, and looking at types of trusts that are written, trusts that aren't written. As a quick test, can anybody name me the type of trust that is not written down, that has no words? And it's not an express trust, it's not a trick question, but express trusts don't need to be written down, they can be verbally expressed. Private express trusts, but the trusts that are in effect today that aren't written and they're not expressed, but it's another form of an action, which is the type of the trust name that I'm looking for. It would be implied, an implied.
Oh,
Does that
you
ring
robbed
any
me. I was just about to ask if I was allowed to enter the competition.
Oh, bless you. No, sorry, I forgot to ask you, Kevin. I was just on a little rant. Yeah, so we teach you the types, and for you to go and research independently and look and see how this works, and then you look at the relationships you have with other entities, organisations, especially civil matters. Civil matters, the police, the agents, the officers, the troopers, they shouldn't be getting involved. They're only there for criminal areas, criminality, to prevent a breach of the peace, etc. They teach you how to keep them at bay, how to manage civil situations, how to mitigate before any possible litigation is to occur, keeping clean hands, the principles of the management of law, which is inclusive within the 10 commercial maxims of law, and then the biblical precepts, which we use the 1611 KJB to back that up and to reference, and we play with the doctrine of notices and the principles, the propositions of equity, amongst dancing with the pre-action protocols of the civil procedure rules. Holy shit, how did we learn how to do all of that? Oh man. But that's that's where we're at, and we want to bring you all up to this level. It's not wizardry, it's not mastery, it's not secret, but we'll do it in the correct way, and in reference to the emails and questions, and frequently asked questions that we get, and what in a logical sense of existence would make sense to do, and then perhaps you could think about possible, metaphorically speaking, boots on the ground and moving as one with your house in order. So charity begins at home. So give yourself some credit, give yourself some time, and think about what's important, think about what's near and dear. What's the future's yet to hold, what's to come, and then we'll look at sovereignty in itself, driving licenses, passports, immunity, the sovereign republic of New Britain, interfacing internationally. There's the sky, the world is the oyster, and we're not sitting around for anybody else to show us the ways, because we've looked and you've looked at other channels, other thought leaders, other websites, and it doesn't seem to be cutting the mustard, does it, initiates? Which is why you're all still here and why the channel's growing, because slowly people are realising there is a certain type of community that can fix this, remedy this, so to speak, and you can't do everything in the public. There are limitations, there are duties, there are obligations, there are liabilities. With all the goodwill and the love in the world, you have to respect the limitations of the public. It's not about taking you for your money. It's not about you're not being good enough. It's not about us thinking we're any better. It's about working in this war, this warship, and we're reclaiming the citizenship, managing all of that, and using the information. See, because these legal societies and these high courts of law with grand juries and equity and trust, and canon laws and admiralty and maritime and UCC and tort law and contract law and all the other laws that go with it, they're not ours, and neither are any of them laws. By right, You know, by using an affidavit and presenting an affidavit as he's presenting and owning a commercial instrument, you're as bad as you're using legalese. You may as well have been and how we do things, why we do things, and who we are, and how we evidence who we are, or the duties and obligations and liabilities and charges surrounding that entity, that estate, that name. You know, and going into English and looking at names, and names are nouns, and nouns begin with capital letters, and looking at all of the finer points of the details, the use of syntax, not quantum, but just syntaxing, and syntax in itself under the syntactic structures of English grammar and styles. That's been an interesting journey. Signing off. Some of you get confused about when you write notices and then how to explain I am the living man and this, that, the other, and we go into chapter and verse, setting the premise of who we are, and we kind of giving the reader no real reason to continue reading a notice of which you need them to read, because you've started off with things such as, and it sounds a little bit farcical to somebody that's just an agency that doesn't know jack shit. So they're gonna, we are going to teach you on how to minimize the content, share what we've used, and devise with you ones that would be tailored to your situation if necessary, and look at over time showing you the certain key attributes of correct application of styles, grammar, language, and recognition of the ways to satisfy the practice directions of the civil procedure rules, and for you to establish who you are in ways that are simple, effective, recognised, orthodox, efficient, and concise and clear, and at the correct levels of law. So that's something me and Kevin were speaking about not so long ago, wanting to should tell people politely, you don't have to express you're the living flesh and blood natural man here today, born of, witness to, third moon of the crescent half, and then before you know it, the reader's not going to read your notice, and we can show you ways of how to become the authority and the principle with regards to that, the titles that you claim and the sign off, wasn't it, Kevin? So
yeah, and you also got to remember, it's horses for courses. I'm not saying that sort of stuff isn't powerful, but not if you're writing to the utility company about your bill, or to the council or something like that. You're wasting your time. And what do you think happens? I bet they've got a wall in these offices of nutbag letters. If you imagine yourself as a normie working that job, and that sort of letter comes in. By the time you're through the first half of paragraph, you've got this person down as totally off the trolley. And that's, you're using powerful stuff in realms that you just don't get. You're just a nutbag. It's horses for courses. You start getting up into the higher echelons of courts and stuff, then to a degree, but that, I've seen people do 7-page letters in red ink, and even the first paragraph, I think, well, I've got you down as a nutter already. That's what you've got to remember. Who you're sending it to? You're just sending it to a Joe Blogs or a Josephine Blogs, who's never come across anything like this. So you just go down. It probably gets passed around the office for everybody to have a laugh. So horses for courses, you use it where it's appropriate and where it would be of most benefit. But you can all, as I say, the thing we always say is how we sign off with our positions and who the all caps is and what we are to it. A little bit of UCC, a little bit of without the UK, etc., etc. Do that in every case.
And we have to be careful and explain why we are so particular, why the system is the Roman language, the Roman alphabet, the New Times Roman font. There's a lot of words at play, and we have to choose each word and be sure that we want to use that word and know the definition of that word, and that it's from the Oxford English Dictionary, and we're using that implied meaning and definition. Words are important because we are all controlled by words. We live in a world where we are existent in it, and words control us. To communicate with one another, we must text or telephone or speak one-to-one, face-to-face. We get letters through, we read the text, the text on the screen. We look at phones and computers which are full of text. Words given to us, commands given to us, by different authorities. Mum and dad, when you're a child, are an authority to you. When you grow up, you have children, you're then reversed and you're the authority to your children, but then your employer is the authority to you. There's judges and police and jurisdictions and clergy, ecclesia, authorities. People will present themselves to you in your everyday life and claim to have authority over you as well. So these words of which they use to show you, words that you listen to, songs, TV, media, entertainment value. We are programmable creatures. This is the key here, and what the quote from one of the famous billionaire tycoons was: "I care not for the control of a country's money, but give me its children until the age of 7, and the rest is history." Because we are controllable, programmable and controllable. We are pack men. So programmable and controllable is pack and men. So we are essentially in a square room eating, running away from ghosts, looking for the power
Chasing ghosts.
Yeah, and looking to get the cherries. Yeah, because we have been programmable and we are controlled via words and education and indoctrinating a multitude of a variety of ways of control, neuro-linguistic programming, the ways, the words, the bold, the colour, the letters, the judge shouting, sirens, lights, there's all kinds of, threats. The force of law is introduced to us, generally is what we're talking about here. And for civil matters, there can be no force of law. The rule of law, but then we're into oxymoronic land because we've got rules and policy, and the police enforce the policy, which is for the corporation of the United Kingdom and its subsidiary agencies therein, the legislative arm, and then the judicial arms. This is all controlled again by dictionaries and language. So you've all found Bouvier's, Blacks, Oxford, Blackstones, Halsbury's. Do you know what I mean? And then you've looked at various other terminologies and constitutions of languages in itself. So Latin, how could we forget that? And the various forms of it.
Yeah.
The power.
Yeah, that's a little mine all of its own.
Yeah, when you get into it again, you got the spelling of a word and how we spell that, get the correct spelling, and dictionaries help with the spelling, and you can get entranced. We're in like a trance. We walk through an entrance and become entranced in zombie-like, apocalyptic, self-destructive, self-obsessed, materialistic existence. And these like when you go shopping, they've worked out that they can play music and make you feel happy. When you're happy, you'll spend more money. Restaurant chains present certain colours and foods in certain colours and that because they neuro-linguistically tempt you and trick you and psycho-evaluate you, and we are all constantly at attack via the television, via the radio, via the high street, via media, via music, via everything's looking to what would you say, enter your last bastion of privacy and the sanctuary of sanity and control. You could start asking yourself on a daily basis, checking yourself, am I doing what I think I I want to be doing, or am I doing what I actually want to be doing? You know, and why you're doing certain things, why we think certain ways, why we want certain things, why we collect headphones for no reasons.
Oh, you're getting personal now. Dear me. Could open a shop.
Been a good old chat, and we'll be here for more.
Indeed.
We're just old and tired, poorly and sick, shit like that. You know, life in general. We've made it through an incredible 24 months. Just when you thought it was safe, you've got threats of World War III, and you've got monkeypox. You've got
Polio.
oh God, Lord, eh?
What else is coming back? They've thrown on the table now. Typhoid. Ah, brilliant. Cholera. Yeah, and there'll be a vaccine for every one of them. Oh, Matney. Yeah, we've done all right tonight. We're over a couple of hours, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, we've got a lot accomplished. It's been fun. Yes. We've got a lot on the cards, a lot going off. Anyone's welcome to join. You know where we are, and enjoy the content that's been given to you up to this point. This year's been a particularly strong year. And you've got a lot of case law, a lot of material. And for none of us it's been easy. None of us have had a book of common law to follow, a pathway given, a time parameter given. We've had to do exactly the same as one another, and we don't ever give you legal advice. You know that. We just like paralawfuls, yeah.
Yeah, we're not bastards.
Is there a conspiracy at hand, or is everything just as it seems on the face value of it all? You know, especially now with interest rates and gas and electric, and you know, the amount of money we're giving to Ukraine and the amount of supports, and take the politics out of it. Man needs to help man. Man needs to love man. And that's one of our basic fundamental, you know, principles, ethics, guidelines, morals, everything. It's on our morality compass. We check that shit. But there are ways of helping, and there was war and there was business, and the history repeating itself. There are lives at stake. This could happen to any country. It could have been our landmass that we're on. We've got a lot to consider, a lot in the mix, a lot of a broken, fractured psyches. A lot of businesses have crumbled. We've seen effects of COVID and the virus and what's happened on some public level, but what hasn't been seen is probably the more damaging aspect of the last 24 months on a global scale. Then we've got like the Bilderbergs and these councils and the commissions and certain things running things with the Masons and the you know, the monarchy and the deception at hand. When people say, "Are you sure that what you're on with is right?" and "Are you sure you're doing the right thing?" This is just like organised crime on a level that the Italians and the mafioso and the dons could only have dreamed of. This is you know, not funny. It's not good. It's not big. It's not clever. It's not honourable. From narcissistic, racist, murdering psychopaths of all types that claim to be in the name of God, couldn't be more an affront to intelligence and all that is loving and good and you know what I mean, balanced. If ever there was one, it's right there in your face. Shit needs to change. Are we agreed on that? Does that one carry water? Hold the water.
That does carry weight. Night Claire, thanks for the comment. That's nice. I'm glad we can bring a smile to you. That's half the battle, isn't it? Mr. Dav, nice comment. Thank you. Well, say clean hands in honour. That's what we strive for. But thank you for that comment.
Thank you, Mr. Dav, for that comment. A long time listener. The honesty. Yes, that's it. It's just why it's hard to be a YouTube content creator and to manage and to run a channel. I don't want to give you content that's irrelevant. I've learned that less is more. I've learned to control my speed, my energy. I've done a lot of self-development, and it's hard to come on your channel and to entertain your scribes, to give them good content, to not repeat, but to be honest, entertaining, and useful. It's a tall order, and obviously you've got your own aspects to deal with embarrassment and mistakes, errors and omissions and things that the blunders that naturally occur. You've got people attacking you. You've got people, supporting you. There's a whole demographic mix there of yourselves, and guests that you have on. You know how you do it, the technology, equipment. It's no wonder, that YouTube channels come and go, and it's hard to stay within the community guidelines as well. Some of the content and topic we've talked about is more controversial than the community guidelines, but it's stayed up, and we've been allowed to chat about it. But really, again, YouTube's not the most ideal place to have video interaction, and we should be doing this in the private on other more secure encrypted avenues. Just because we should
definitely. But funny you should mention YouTube. I've just been saying that, and I've particularly noticed probably in the last month, maybe a bit longer, the ridiculous words that they bleep now. Trying to watch that, and it's a word like burglary. It's ridiculous. Yet you click on the next one and call somebody a cunt, not a problem. But it's just so ridiculous. The words like abuse, guns, kill, death. What is going on? That all these words are being bleeped out on videos. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. My God, this snowflake lot. Oh my God, once they're on their own, can you imagine? It's going to be a nightmare for them. They're going to get picked off because they can't deal with anything, and they've been allowed not to deal with anything. They've had the little safe spaces, and if you don't agree with their thoughts, you're a bigger end of, probably a right-wing one at that. It's just so ridiculous, and as I say, you can't even have a debate with any of them because their answer is just get angry and shout and scream, and that means we've won. It is really that pathetic. But I despair. I really believe, like my boys, he was 30 last year. I didn't think about that. I think from his sort of generation, that they're probably going to be the last ones, maybe some of the 20-year-olds, and then it's done. It's done, and they'll all vote in communism before they even know it, because that's how stupid they are. Or socialism, we know what it all turns into, death. But I really do despair, because that's how bad it is.
Setting them up to fail. Yeah,
they have the whole education system.
Yeah,
it has been, you will get this, no, there's no winners and losers. You'll get a certificate for taking part. You're going to get whatever you want. You're special. They get the same in college, and then they get slung out into this world that doesn't exist, and they're all angry about it. It's pathetic.
So thank you to Lisa and Kathy, Menza came on, John, Claire, Mr. Dav, Bern, Bert, and Kevin himself as well for his time, Anders, and for the usual suspects that are in the chat there. Stephen, I do believe, Paul as well earlier. We will get our asses in gear. I've emailed Stovilla I asked him if he would like to connect up, and yeah, been a long time, so we'll formulate some useful content moving forward, and then yeah, we'll get some basics covered, and we'll relay back to you those that don't make it to our August seminar in Rickmansworth. The video details will have that information you require tomorrow onwards, the 4th of July. So will it be found on Facebook, SPL's Facebook, our Telegram chats, and on the private domain. So let's get our shit sorted. Gotta get our shit together. Gotta know your shit. Fix your, pick up your shit, pack all your shit up, get it sorted, take it with you.
Take charge of your vessel.
That's it. It's got some good shit for you now. Some good shit. It's no shit Sherlock's. So yeah, it's been a laugh. I appreciate you all. Thank you for your support. Hello to Lindsay. And we'll be back, and I will be having some fun along the way. Right then, Kevin, yeah, let's do this. Thank you. We'll speak to my brother. Thank you, Scribes.
Let's get home in time for tea and medals. Hurrah! Okay.
You mad man.
Love to you all. Thanks for joining us. Good chat. I know it's all a bit sort of random, but that was the whole point of it. There was nothing planned. So look, please have a good think about Rickmansworth, people. Come and see us there, 20th of August. Love to you all. Thank you.
See you later, Kevin. Ciao for now, bro.
Cheers, Dave. I'll
Yeah,
catch up with you when you're back. When you're going back.
What is it now? It's my first day. My first day off.
Oh, so you're not back to Thursday then?
That's right, Thursday.
Right, sweet. All right, well, we'll catch us. I'm out tomorrow, being picked up by my carers and taken out. So yeah, I'll give you a call Tuesday or something, Dave.
All right then, bro. Much love. Thank you very much.
We'll look up. No worries. Always a pleasure. Never a chore. Much love to everybody.